I'm Edie Lush, and I'm here in the Hub Culture Pavilion in Davos. Very pleased to be joined by Mike Butcher. He's the editor-at-large of TechCrunch. So what's on your mind? What's 2015 going to hold for us?
Well, we've got the Apple iWatch coming, or not, Apple Watch coming out, and that's going to sort of ignite a whole new category of electronics. And of course, the kinds of things that will be capable of will be health tracking, and health and technology are converging at a rapid pace, creating an entirely new category for hardware, and also, of course, linking to software platforms online, so to be able to track your health. In fact, I just saw a startup just the other day that wants to do things like whether or not your cells are changing character and stuff like that. So it's not just tracking your steps, it's tracking your entire body. But that's just one thing that's happening this year. There's going to be many other things happening, from the development of better smartphones, obviously. Google Glass has famously sort of slightly failed a little bit. Right. It's gone into more of an enterprise mode. I think it's quite useful for fixing jumbo jets, but not so great for going to nightclubs. Right.
Well, what about the Internet of Things? Because this is going to be a huge issue, right?
Massive issue, especially for global companies wanting to track inventory, and of course, the terabytes of data going online now every second create whole new problems around what is the so-called big data, and trying to make sense of that. And so, in fact, in the Internet of Things, it is not just about tracking sort of bottles of whiskey around the planet. It's everything from your house to your front door, from your body, etc. And of course, applying that to things like drone technology, where you can check on agricultural crops and things like that. So there's a lot to be done, and it's a really pivotal year, I think. CES was really actually genuinely exciting this year, I think.
I was actually kind of glued to the sort of reports coming out from CES. I loved it. So tell me, we've obviously seen a huge amount with all the connected human body, with wearables. There's always concern about privacy. On the sort of other side of things, we've seen after Paris and the Charlie Hebdo disaster, how much security are we willing to release to governments? Are you seeing a sort of change in how people are dealing with that?
Well, of course, the politicians have started making noises along these lines and talking about much more increased surveillance. David Cameron famously wants to break encryption. That's going to would impact his other policies around startups and entrepreneurship, which the left hand doesn't seem to know what the right hand is talking about. But as societies, obviously, we've got to start thinking deeply about how much privacy we give away, as it were, how much we allow the snoops to snoop and to catch the bad guys, and how much we want to withhold to ourselves.
What's your rule? What do you do?
Well, I mean, my view is if I want to be private about something, I just don't put it on the internet, and it doesn't go on the grid, as it were. Once on the internet, forever is the famous phrase. So, for instance, you won't find pictures of my children on the internet. But then again, of course, the other thing that you've got to take into account is sometimes you just don't have that control. Apple was famously hacked with iCloud a few months ago. And Sony, of course. Cyber warfare is going to be a big issue over the next year or so, and governments are just effectively going to battle with each other online. The UK and the US have now signed an agreement to basically do war games with each other. So we're going to be hearing a lot about that this year.
I think it's interesting. I had the CEO of Cloudflare in, Matthew Prince, and he was saying, you know what, a lot of these hacks are coming from teenage kids. Right? They're not actually professional Chinese hackers coming in. Is that scary or great?
Well, it's something that was always around. I mean, famously, the old 1980s Wargames movie actually wasn't a billion miles away from the truth. And now the tools available to pretty much anyone. I could go online and find some tools and start creating a botnet to attack something. Over Christmas, the so-called Lizard Squad took out the Xbox Live platforms, and ruined Christmas for a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And that was because that was effectively a demonstration about whether or not you could use their platform. Yes, absolutely. It is. It just goes to show the internet as a sort of platform, because it was built 50 years ago. It's getting kind of frail and worn at the edges. It needs some loving and attention. And so, yeah, absolutely, where that goes is another big issue for the year.
Mike, thanks so much for stopping by Hub Culture today, and I'm Edie Lush.